Dreamers are young people who are fighting to give back to the only country they've ever known as home. They are not political bargaining chips, and they didn't ask to be at the center of this immigration debate. They were brought here before they were old enough to know the difference. They grew up as our neighbors, our kids' classmates, and our friends. They are also taxpayers, teachers, medical students, and they're young people who are signing up to serve in our military. Let me tell you about some of the dreamers I've met in my district. Richard Kim is a student at Tufts University. He was brought here by his parents from Korea when he was just 2 years old. His parents sacrificed a great deal in America, even becoming homeless and living in a car for a while, for the chance that Richard would have a better life than they had. Their son worked hard, got good grades, and ultimately was admitted into one of the best schools in the country. Now he's a freshman at Tufts, studying international relations. One day, he wants to work here in Congress. Richard calls himself 100% American. In his words, he says, "I grew up here just like everyone else. I want to make a difference in America because this is the place I call home." Let me tell you also about Mario Delgado. In Mario's words, he says, "I know what it's like to live like a shadow in a room full of light, keeping my head down to make sure I don't get sent back to a country that I know nothing of." And so Mario kept his head down. He studied, he worked through high school to help pay the bills, and saved up money for the future. Mario expects to graduate from college next year. He wants to work in the renewable energy industry. He says he intends to help America with the advancement of fusion energy. And then there's Marla, who started attending school in Framingham, Massachusetts when she was in the first grade. She describes learning American history, listening to popular music, and watching the Disney Channel like the rest of her friends. But something was different. Unlike her friends, she realized she couldn't get a driver's license. As a teenager, she suffered the crushing fear that every knock on the door could mean that she would never see her loved ones again. She feared that applying for college would mean exposing her family, a cruel reality for someone who was the valedictorian of her graduating class. When DACA was enacted, a life of fear became a life of possibility. Marla could now drive, she could earn and save money, she could go to college and contribute to her community. Marla not only went to college, she graduated at the top of her class. She bought a home and is now contributing her talents to the Commonwealth's innovation economy. Last week, Marla bravely came to me as a dreamer in front of her coworkers because she wanted to make a difference. Madam Speaker, dreamers are bright young people who are American in their hearts and in their minds. They are American in every way but on paper, and their dream for a better future is unmistakably American. Their families have often endured poverty, violence, and persecution, but despite it all, they've excelled and charted their own path to success. And though they know no other country, they grew up with the threat of deportation and that their families could be torn apart at any given moment. The DACA program showed them a way to come out of the shadows, to lift their heads and reach for their dreams, and give back to a country they call home. Through DACA, 800,000 young people have been able to contribute to our workforce and our armed forces. As Marla put it, 800,000 is not just a number. It is birthdays, school events, graduations, homes, and memories. Reversing DACA would mean sending these talented young people to a country they don't even know, where they could potentially be our competitors in our workforce. We have all the tools we need to prevent that from happening and keep dreamers like Richard, Mario, and Marla in our communities where they can help us build successful futures. All we need is for leadership to allow us a vote. What these young people deserve is no different than what we want for our own children. If we fail to pass the DREAM Act, we not only fail them, We fail to meet our potential as a country. Let's do what the vast majority of Americans are asking us to do. Let's give our dreamers and the DREAM Act a vote.